3, 2, 1. We're going. All right. Cool. What's up, everybody? You remember back in the day when you actually got your news from newspapers and having to watch like the 6 o'clock news on Channel 13 or whatever? You remember when you had to just listen to the radio, and if you wanted a song that you liked, you'd have to hold the ghetto blaster up to the stereo speaker in order to record it and hit play and record and stop at the exact same time? Way back in the day, man. Well, that wasn't that long ago, actually. It was only like, maybe 10 or 12 years ago I was still doing that shit, hooking up two VCRs together to copy the video that I wanted, that I rented from Blockbuster, and had to return by noon the next day, even though I rented it at fucking 10 p.m. that night. Remember that shit? Having to return a fucking movie, otherwise you got a late fee and a fine for not rewinding that fucker. Here is an article that was published in the Indianola, not the Indiana. There's a big difference between Indiana and Indianola. Comics bring mirth to Milo. And I'm right there on the front page. That's when I finally knew I was a headliner, Bill Blank. When I actually made the headlines of the Indianola Tribune.
The old Milo room.
That's right. And I've got on my bright blue bandana. I've got on my 420 t-shirt. I've got on a hemp necklace. And I've got something in my fingers that looks like a cone joint, but I swear to God, it's just a pen. And you'll never guess who that is in the picture with me, but a very young and a very bald Bill Blank.
Oh, really? Oh, that's hilarious. I can't wait to watch this now.
It's
Holy
dude.
Shit.
I think I was like,
you were talking about. I thought you were talking about something that was coming up, but that's like 15. Close to 15 years ago, probably. Is there a date on it?
There is a date on it. November 17, 2004. Almost 13 years ago, man.
13 years. Holy shit, dude.
That's just a little throwback.
Crazy.
The Grassroots Comedy Tour brings laughter to small-town venues.
I remember that show.
What do you remember about it?
I remember that show. I remember because it was close enough to Des Moines that my dad came out with some clients at this, because I was still working for my dad back then, like full time at a warehouse.
Gotcha.
And I drove the truck, and one of the places that I delivered to all the time, one of the bigger clients of my dad's, came out to the show with him.
Right on.
And they had a really good time. And the thing that I remember the most is, remember they had that little backstage area? There was just like a curtain, and we could go around behind it.
Yeah, it was a curtain, and right behind it was the kitchen that they were trying to remodel in order to put in like their new updated stone-baked kitchen. That was going to be the new gimmick. They were going to have stone-baked pizza. And so they were remodeling the kitchen, but they had a big curtain just in front of that to block it off, and that was our dressing room.
Yes, exactly. And there was all it was just a couple of like shitty old school office chairs or something.
That's exactly it.
I remember sitting back there and just getting stoned as fuck after the show. Like, I'm pretty sure we smoked in there before the show. And then after the show, I go out and I say hi to my dad and this guy and all this stuff. And just with no hesitation, not even thinking about it, hey, I'll be right back. And then we go behind there and smoke a couple joints or something. And then I just go back out and talk to him again like it was nothing. And in retrospect, I'm like, in retrospect, I'm like, how bad did I reek? Like, what was this client that saw me all the time? Like, what was he thinking when I came back to that table just reeking of weed?
Yeah, officially in show business.
It was one of those, I don't plan on doing this warehouse thing forever, bro.
It says in the caption, Jeremy Danley localizes his material with the input of fellow comedian Bill Blank before performing at Main Street Station in Milo, Iowa. And then it goes on from there.
Was that like an action shot of us having a powwow before the show started?
Yeah, I think it was, hey, that was a great shot. Can you guys do that one again? And then we had to hold it while the camera guy adjusted the camera and set up the lighting. That was back before you could just put the shutter speed on your camera phone and go to town. He actually had like the full contraption with the neck brace and the giant light and the big lens and all that shit.
Oh my goodness. Good times. It's crazy to think about, you know, I try all the time to put myself back in my shoes back then and think about how far away like today was back then, and you know the things that I would have been happy with in my career back then, and then realizing at a certain point that it was never going to be enough and I was always going to want more.
Yeah.
You know, like back then I was probably thinking back then, well, if in a year, if I come back to Milo, Iowa, and I'm the headliner, I'll be doing really well.
Right. That's when I've made it. I'm the headliner in Milo, Iowa. And I would have just thought that I made it if I just had my own basement-style TV talk show. You know, I never wanted to be on the Tonight Show or host the newest late-night show on NBC or CBS. I always just wanted to be like the host of my version of Wayne's World.
Yeah, exactly. Wayne's World. Perfect.
And now that's what we get to do. We get this fucking shit like Facebook Lives and YouTube and all this, you know. Now we get to do all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And now the big battle really is, you know, are we doing it for the right reasons, you know? And that's the beauty of guys like us is all we want to do is tell jokes and feed our families and do it telling jokes. And so, like, everything else is just like, we're having fun. We're just, when it comes down to it, we're just trying not to grow up all the way. You know, there's a certain amount of growing up with responsibility so that you're taking care of your family and stuff. But at the end of the day, we're trying not to grow up. And so we can do things like this, and it's just fun, and that's enough.
Yeah, and you get it justified as doing business. It's work. We're at our job right now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? You're right. You got into this to avoid responsibility, but then you have to stay in it in order to maintain that. You know, you really actually have to put in more effort and a lot of struggle and strife just to continue to avoid responsibility and hardship. But then it just gets harder and harder and harder. And then eventually you just have to go all in order to prove to all the fuckers out there when you were coming up, all the people that you said you were going to be a comedian when you were a kid, all the fucking naysayers. You got to stay in it then to prove them wrong. And then after you've done that, you actually have to figure out what you're going to do to be successful.
Yeah, because it's a weird thing. It's a weird mind fuck when you're trying to figure out how to monetize certain things. You know, like what we're doing right now, you know, it's something we're looking at as a good way to put butts in the seats for the next show. And that's basically how you're monetizing it. You know, it's these venues are going to get good crowds. They're going to make some money. They're going to keep doing comedy.
Yep.
Whereas a lot of other people that are doing what we're doing right now are trying to monetize just that thing, and they're wondering why it's not happening.
They're trying to get commercials sponsors for their Facebook Live.
Right. Whereas if you just do a really good job and you do it for fun and you just have a really good time doing it, that stuff will come along organically.
Yep, 100%.
It gets passed around, and it gets to where the only way these things actually work is if somebody shares it. Somebody goes, "Oh, hey, you got to see this. This guy's fantastic. These 420 reports are fucking hilarious." And they share it, and somebody else shares it, and somebody else shares it, and then all of a sudden you're getting hit up with that. And I think a lot of people want to do it backwards. They just want, it's like they want the ad to be set up before they even make the video.
Yeah, they want to make sure that there's going to be some sort of payoff at the end. But for me, the work has always been the payoff. Just doing the work itself has been the payoff. And like you said, you got to figure out a way to monetize it so you can keep going, because that's all I want to do all day long. People are like, well, what are you going to do when you retire? Right. I'm never going to retire, motherfucker. George Burns didn't retire. Bob Hope, Jim Wiggins did it till he fucking died. George Carlin did it till he died.
I was actually telling my dad that not too long ago, because he'll call me if I'm in town. Because my dad still runs a warehouse to this day. And if I'm in town and he needs help with something, he'll call me and ask me to come and do something for him for the day or whatever. And usually I'll go do it to help my dad out and whatever. And one time he wanted me to do something that I didn't want to do, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't think I feel like doing that." And he was like, "Well, what? You don't need any money?" And I go, "No, I need money. I just don't need this money."
Right.
And he's like, "Well," he goes, "What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do when you're 65 and don't have two nickels to rub together?" And I was like, "No, you don't understand. Retirement's for people that hate their job."
Right.
It's like, why would it's like, I could tell jokes forever, dude. I don't need a fucking pension.
Yeah, exactly. Or you just need that one hit CD or DVD or Netflix special, and then make that mailbox money, if that even still exists. Yeah, exactly. I don't even know if that should still exist.
I don't think it. Well, it definitely doesn't to the extent that it used to.
Yeah.
Like I made a deal several years ago with Rooftop Comedy, where because Rooftop films in a bunch of different comedy clubs around the country, and then they take clips and put them on their website.
Yep.
And that's even changed now. I don't even think they really do it like that anymore. But they filmed in at the Skyline in Appleton, and they filmed at Crackers in Indianapolis, and several other places. And then they would email you and, say, "Hey, we took these 3 clips," or whatever. And it was a cool thing just to have. Well, then they started making deals where they were sending, did you ever hear of Sound Exchange?
Yep, for sure.
So it was basically it was kind of like Sound Exchange. They made like an 80-20 deal with you, where they sent your clips that sounded good, that would come off well just audio, and they would send them to Sirius XM and all these other places.
Yeah, I was part of that back in the day.
They would. Okay, yeah. So I think maybe they paid out quarterly or something, and it ended up you made $3 for every minute that they played your stuff, and I think I got 3 checks for $15, and then I never saw one again.
Right. And is that because they never played it again, or this fucker's never going to follow up with us? We'll just stop sending him checks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no shit. I probably should still be getting those things. And it was fun. It was fun to get it, even though it was so small. Like that first one I got, I was like, "Oh shit! I just got my first residual check."
$15, and it cost them $27 to overnight it.
Yeah, let's see if this goes into syndication. I don't get this forever. I'll get this $15 check in perpetuity.
For sure, in perpetuity. What are you going to do when you're 65 and you don't have two nickels to rub together? Dude, I got $15 check coming once a month. I got my government check coming once a month. This is Bill Blank. We haven't even done the whole reason why you're on the phone with me to begin with on this is to promote your upcoming show in Grettinger, Iowa, at the Hillcrest Country Club, Birdie's Burgers and Brews, and that is next Friday, October 13th. And I'll put all the show information in the description. And then Saturday, October 21st, Bill Blank will also be at Gunderson's Lounge in Lake Park, Iowa. So 2 shows, man, right in your neck of the woods, dude. This is like the Iowa boys reunite. I've got Josh that's going to be doing the guest appearance this on Friday here on the 420 Report. And we have a similar story when we put out American Smartass, and then we had Celebrity Video from Los Angeles, California approached us to distribute it everywhere. They were going to get it on Netflix. They were going to shop at the Comedy Central or the True TV or somewhere like that, Spike TV. And they're like, but in the meantime, we're going to just sell it on Amazon. You guys are going to make bank. They made like a 60-40 deal with us. And it was anything after the expenses of advertising it. That was your profit that we were going to split 60-40. And then at the end of the first quarter, they sent us the statement, and we'd sold like 1,000 copies, which wasn't bad for just an independent film that we put together for like $1,000. But then the expense sheet that they sent us said these were the advertising amount, and that was like maybe $500 out of a $15,000 profit. Then they had their 60% or their 40% was taken out. So whatever that was, like say $6,000. I know it's whatever it is. I'm shitty at math. And then the amount that was due to Josh and I was like a pretty hefty sum, but that also just happened to be wiped out with miscellaneous expenses that just happened to be very like within $100 of that amount.
Oh my God.
Just miscellaneous office expenses, administrative costs, things like that just so happened to wipe out our percentage of it. They still got their fucking half.
My miscellaneous Prius expense.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I bought my 16-year-old their first car expense.
Exactly. And meanwhile, I got to schlep those fuckers around on the road every goddamn week and try to hawk them for $10 a piece, which I'm still doing, by the way.
Right.
One of the things I like the most that you do right now on Facebook is when you tweet during the football games and the basketball games. And I don't even follow sports, but I can just feel the fucking anger dripping through your fingers. I don't know who the fuck you're even talking about most of the time, but the way you put together like analogies and things like that, I think that is some of the funniest shit. And I don't even follow sports. I don't get the emotionality behind it. I love to play sports. You know, you get a game going, I'll jump in that thing. I look like an asshole running. I look like a praying mantis with cerebral palsy, but I'm a try hard, you know. And you better keep score too, because I want to win, motherfucker. What's the emotion? You know, like I don't know those players. I fucking get into the emotionality of it when it's my kid playing Little League, but it's really hard for me to get into the emotionality. I mean, I understand you're passionate about your team, but Jesus Christ, I don't even know these guys. They're just playing for whoever's going to pay them the most.
Dude, you know what's so funny about that is it's because I do sports radio quite a bit here in Des Moines. I do the Sports Fanatics, you know, a couple times a month, usually as a guest, and just kind of over time, it's gotten to where it's something that I'm kind of known for, like Twitter, at least Twitter-wise, not, you know, Facebook too, but, you know, my Twitter posts to Facebook as well.
Right.
But, like, if you look at my Twitter followers, I actually have more Iowa State fans that follow me than Iowa fans, because one of the hosts of the Sports Fanatics, Chris Williams, he is the Cyclone Fanatic guy, and he covers all the Cyclone sports. and he talks on the radio all the time about how watching my Twitter during Iowa games is like a guilty pleasure of his. Because he loves how pissed off I get and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And so Iowa State fans follow me like crazy because they just like to laugh about it or whatever. So it's gotten to where it's something I'm kind of known for, and I actually feel pressure to do it now. Whereas before it was totally organic. And now I honestly, I would rather just not even be on social media and just watch the game in my own world.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
now I feel like I have to do it because people love it and want to see it. If I don't do it, they wonder what the fuck's going on.
Do you start getting hit up with those messages like, where are you, dude? What's going on?
Yeah, exactly. Or if something happens and they don't hear from me right away, they're like, has anybody checked on Bill Blank? Like, what's going on? And what's funny is, like, emotion-wise, I actually say this to myself. I actually fucking hate that about me. I hate the fact that 19 and 20-year-old kids that I don't even know can influence my mood that much. And I thought by now I would have outgrown it and just been more apathetic about it, but it has literally not gone away. I still get insanely pissed off when I'm watching the game. And the thing is, if Iowa players watched me watch the game, they would be like, don't even like us. We don't even want you as a fucking fan. Like, don't even pay attention. You're terrible. Because I'm calling them dumb fucks and stupid, and I'm yelling horrible things all the time. And so, like, I know that the players themselves would probably fucking hate me with a passion.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's something I grew up with. I grew up a huge Hawkeye fan. My parents had season tickets, and back then for me it was a very special thing. Like at least once a year, my grandparents would take me to a game in Iowa City, and this was from the time I could enjoy it on. So we're talking, between 6 and 8 years old would have been the first ones I went to.
Right.
And then from that point on, I was going to games every year. I had my own season tickets for a while in my 20s until my road schedule got to where I couldn't really rationalize paying for them.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's just something that's just been just bred into me since I was a little kid. And that shit just doesn't go away, man. It's just like, I guess it's like, if I could compare it to something, it'd be like having a food that you really hated when you were a kid that your mom made you eat. And now that you're an adult, there's no fucking way you'll eat it. And if you even smell it, you're just angry at whoever made it.
Yep. That's how like pickles are.
Kind of the
me.
reverse of that in a way, because the fan part of it's more of a positive thing. But
well, those emotions are addictive, man. Those emotion chemicals are addictive, just all like a drug. It activates certain parts of the neurons in your brain that I just think like I'm really passionate about doing comedy, for instance. I love comedy. But can you imagine if comedy fans acted like that? Like, what the fuck? You dropped the fucking punchline? That's how that joke goes. Run it like it goes. What the fuck? What's with that callback? What's with the callback right then? You could have closed this thing out and got a standing ovation.
Totally missed it. You could have called back to that fucking joke you did 10 minutes ago, and you missed it. It was right there for you. It was wide open, and you fucking overthrew it.
Just imagine if comedy audiences actually, and some comedians though will sort of treat the audience like the referee just made a bad call when they don't get the reaction they want.
Oh, definitely.
Like, what are you people fucking deaf? What are you deaf?
Yeah.
How could you not see that one? How do you not get these? Like frustrated comics on stage will treat the audience like a football ref.
I think maybe there's something in your personality that's turned them off a bit. Maybe that's why they're not laughing.
That might be it. Well, we're down to one viewer, dude. I don't know what it was. I thought we had a pretty good conversation. That was a lot of fun to reconnect, and it probably went on a little bit too long, but fuck it, man. It's all about having a good time.
Hey, it's all good.
And if you guys want to see some more of Billy's outrages, do you talk shit about sports on stage when you perform live?
Very rarely, actually, because I don't want to be that single-minded. You know, if I do talk about sports, it's something that I know everybody's gonna know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, you don't really. I can't. If I'm doing a show in Iowa in front of people that I know are a bunch of like Iowa fans, then I might be able to. But you know, you got to gear your act for the whole country and a bunch of total strangers, and so
right.
Really,
yeah.
you know, sports isn't really a very easy thing to go to. Now, if I were famous and I had my own fans coming to see me all the time, then I could probably get away with it. But
and you could probably because it's probably something I imagine you have to keep topical.
Yeah. Something, you know, I definitely will do some topical things here and there. And, you know, like I did a joke, you know, the Falcons last Super Bowl, the way the Falcons blew that Super Bowl, I did a joke about that for a while. But that's something that everybody in the audience knew exactly what the fuck I was talking about.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. Hit the like button. Hit the share button, hit the angry button. I don't give a fuck. Just hit whatever button you want. Leave us some comments and some questions and all that. And go see my old friend, Bill Blank, who had to change his name to Bill Blank from Bill Burr because there's already a famous comedian named Bill Burr. So Bill Blank will be at
better.
What's that?
I said and better.
And better. But hey, you guys have had the pleasure of watching the third and fourth funniest comedians in Iowa right here, right now on a Facebook Live.
That's right.
Thank you very much. Tomorrow I'll be here with our old friend Josh Alton, the fifth funniest comedian in Iowa.
So Josh, I said what's up.
I will for sure, man. Thanks for calling in. And Bill will be playing at Birdie's Burgers and Brews, the Hillcrest Country Club, next Friday, October 13th. And then again at Gunderson's Lounge in Lake Park, Iowa on Saturday, October 21st. And I'll put all the information in the comments and the description. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow at 4:20 p.m. or as close as possible. And in the meantime, dog bless America.